Which championship is better? Big Gold versus Big Gold. We're going to look at the top 10 champions for both the WCW World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. We're going to look at the top 10 champions based on duration of how long they held the belt cumulatively throughout all their reigns. Note that this does not take into account the new World Heavyweight Championship. Number 10, John Cena versus the Giants. I feel like this is like the most boring era of John Cena when he was holding Big Gold, whereas the Giants, he was trying to throw people off of buildings and trying to run them over with monster trucks. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Giant here. Number 9, Kane versus Scott Steiner. So I'm not as fluent in this era of WCW. However, I am very familiar with Kane's world title reign. Even though it kind of seems like a fever dream, like the 5th time Paul Bearer turned on Undertaker, you had Nexus burying Undertaker alive. You know, when the buried alive match gets brought up, you don't often think of Justin Gabriel burying the Undertaker, but it happened. And I don't think Scott Steiner buried anybody alive, although at that era of WCW, I'm not 100% sure. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I'm going to go Kane here. Number 8, Chris Benoit versus Ron Simmons. We got the first black world heavyweight champion versus murderer. I'll go with Ron Simmons just so people don't yell at me. Number 7, CM Punk versus Goldberg. What I would give to see this match today. I think today this match would be as entertaining as it would ever be. Keep in mind, we're taking into account these people as they held these belts. World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk. He did some good stuff with Jeff Hardy in his second reign. Otherwise, it was a lot of nonsense with like Batista, and he wasn't really the main event. Whereas Goldberg, it was just like the peak of wrestling. So for that reason, I'm gonna go Goldberg with this one. Number 6, Undertaker versus Lex Luger. And I've very recently become a Lex Luger stan. Like in my podcast, I'm watching through WCW and I'm in 97. Lex Luger's the fucking man, dude. This dude was awesome, shredded. He was so wet. Undertaker is the Undertaker, right? You can't go wrong with Take. But there's just something about Lex Luger and his goddamn triceps that just get me right in my cockles. I am all aboard the Lex Express. So I'm gonna go Lex Luger here. Number 5, Sheamus versus Sting. Sheamus was like low key killing it as World Heavyweight Champion. This is that era of like SmackDown. It was like him and Mark Henry and Big Show having like bangers with each other for no reason. You throw in like Daniel Bryan in the mix. There was some good stuff with the Sheamus as World Heavyweight Champion. I have fond memories. Sting is another guy. You can't go wrong. He's the staple of WCW. Yeah, it'd be hard for me to say Sheamus is better than Sting here. So I'm going to go Sting. Number 4, Alberto Del Rio versus Booker T. Alberto just like Alberto had some good matches in his day, right? He's one of those guys where it's like, I feel like it's a joke that I'm not in on. It's like, why is he such a big deal? Booker T was the fucking man. Alberto Del Rio was aight. Yeah, I'm going Booker here. I think it's an easy one. I'm going Booker T. Number 3, Edge versus Vader. Yeah. I just didn't think Edge's stuff back then was that good, man. It was okay. Like his heel work, his promos, his character work was good. That's some okay matches. But Vader matches with Cactus Jack, with Ron Simmons, with Hulk Hogan even. Some good stuff from Vader. Especially like his later runs, Edges weren't that spectacular. I'm going to go Vader here. I'm going to go Vader with this one. Number 2, Batista versus Ric Flair. Huh? I mean, Evolution is a mystery, so you can't forget that. It's crazy Batista held the title longer than Ric Flair did. That's a wild stat. God, I'm such a slut for Batista, dude. Again, I'm watching his early days for my podcast, and he was just like a star right from the beginning. Batista was the man. Not to say Ric Flair wasn't. It's also wild how Batista retired before Ric Flair. What the fuck is happening? What is this timeline? I think I gotta go Ric Flair here just because he was the man. Batista was a man amongst several men. And this isn't like a bang bus scenario I'm putting out there. He was just like, I think Ric Flair stood out among his peers more than Batista stood out among his. Maybe. It's close, but I have to drill down to that detail. So I think Ric Flair wins this one. And number 1, Triple H versus Hulk Hogan. Yikers, man. Hulk Hogan. I mean, he was only there for a few years in the grand scheme of things. And he has twice the amount of days as number 2, which is wild. I mean, among everybody on this list, he is just crazy, the discrepancy in how long he held that goddamn belt. Unfortunately, though, it felt like more of an accessory piece rather than something he was defending a lot of the times. Whereas Triple H, well, yeah, people talk about the Reign of Terror. It was like, it felt like a prize worth winning. Triple H he did some good stuff with Kevin Nash, with Shawn Michaels. I think that's about it, actually. And Hulk Hogan, he did have much better stories surrounding his reigns. So, yeah, gotta go Hulk here. Gotta go Hulk. So I guess WCW Big Gold better than WWE Big Gold, which is I thought it'd be closer. I thought the battle would be closer here. But it is not. What else? What other battles should we do in the future, gang? Holla at me.